Good morning, class 9 children. Welcome back. Today is Wednesday, and as per the routine, you have English literature to continue. So, in the last class, we had seen a poem and understood the poem. I had also given you the question answers of the previous poem that we discussed in this online class. Hope you have copied those question answers in your poem exercise note. You were also given some home task in that chapter. Hope you have got the answers and made ready. When the school gets reopened, we'll see those exercises. Today, we'll again come back to our story section and see a new story. I remember I had also completed a chapter from the story section, Face in the Dark, and the exercises to this will be soon passed on to you, and you will copy the answers, the question answers in your story exercise note. I already said you need to make three different exercise notes for three things you have in English literature: drama, prose, and poetry. So make three separate copies for each one of these, and copy the same as you get to online class and when the school gets reopened. So today we'll see a new story. The new story is based on war, and it is a very interesting story written by one of the world-renowned authors uh, regarding war. What normally happens when there is war? Basically, whenever it comes to talk about war, uh, we have a question asked. Uh, no doubt it is a debatable question. It says, uh, war creates more problem than they solve. What is your opinion? So this is a debatable question. We may take this question in our English language when we come to uh, English language class. So this is a very vital question for everyone to know. War creates more problem than they solve. So you have both the sides. So the author here in the story has taken out war as his topic to discuss, and is going to tell us what war is. Is war beneficial for a country, or is it destruction of peace and everything of a country? This is what we are going to know in the chapter. So without wasting more time to talk about the background of the story, so we'll straight away come to the choice. The chapter is chapter number 2 in your story section, Old Men at the Bridge, written by Ernest Miller Hemingway. So please see if you have got the book ready with you. It is on page number 47. So see. So before we uh, see the lines in the story, Old Man of the Breeze, let us quickly see about the author and try to understand what made the author write this story. So see, so when we talk about the author, Ernest Miller Hemingway, a great American author, he was born on 21st July in the year 1899 in the USA, and he died on 2nd July in the year 1961. So see, one of the great 20th century authors in the world. So see, so Ernest Miller Hemingway was an American novelist, short story writer, and journalist. Whatever stories he has given the world, uh, he is best remembered for his simplest language that he has used in his writings. So indeed, one of the strong influential writers of the 20th century, we can talk of Ernest Miller Hemingway. So uh, the story Old Man and the Breeze is a story about the tragedy of war. What happens when there is war? Here the author tries to give a story and decide uh, what we are to do, what we are supposed to do when we think of any such war. So that is told in the story. So the story takes place at Ebro River, which flows in Spain, and the author, as I told, he was a journalist. So he was there as a war correspondent, covering the news of the Spanish War that took place in the year 1936 to 1939. So whatever he observed there, he writes this in the form of a story, and is trying to let us know what normally happens when there is war. So this is what is told in the story, Old Man and the Breeze. So here we see an old man is the victim of the war, and such, there are so many innocent people living in a country, and how they are affected when there is war, be it a civil war or the war of the nations. So this is what is told in the story by the author Ernest Miller Hemingway. Now, hope the background is understood. Now let us come back to the story, how it begins. Please see the other page. Old Man and the Breeze, written by Ernest Miller Hemingway, one of the greatest American authors. So see, the story begins. An old man with steel-rimmed spectacles and very dusty clothes sat by the side of the road. The story opens with an old man, and we see the old man is with the steel-rimmed spectacles. Since he is an old man, he is wearing the spectacles, which is steel-rimmed. Rimmed means framed, right? The glasses have the frame, so it is framed with steel. And very dusty cloths set by the side of the road, and he is wearing the dusty cloth. That means his clothes have become soiled, dirty, and he was seated by the side of the road. There was a pontoon breeze across the river, and carts, trucks, and men, women, and children were crossing it. So just near to the road where the old man was seated, there was a pontoon breeze. Now, what is a pontoon breeze? A pontoon breeze is a floating breeze, which is a kacha breeze made of bamboo being tightened by the ropes. So it flows on the river. So see, there was a pontoon breeze across the river, and on this breeze you will see uh, carts, trucks, and men, women, and children were crossing it. That means they were in a hurry. Something has happened. The whole lot of people are trying to cross this breeze to reach the other side. Now see, the mule-drawn carts staggered up the steep bank from the breeze were soldiers helping push against the spokes of the wheels. And we also see the mule-drawn carts. The carts are drawn by the mules. Mules are the offsprings of horse and donkey, right? It is a strongly built horse, which is most used in the defense forces. Now see, the mule-drawn cars staggered, so they were also moving, and they were moving unsteadily. Staggering means moving unsteadily, as if it will fall here, fall there. Up the steep bank, the bank was steep, slopey. From the breeze were soldiers helping push against the spoke of the wheel, and the soldiers were there, were helping these cars being pushed to reach the other side of the breeze. So it is a busy schedule where we saw the opening of the story. The trucks ground up and away, heading out of it. All the peasants plodded along in the ankle-deep dust, and the peasants and the trucks were all here parked, and they were ready to move away. And the peasants and the farmers plodded along. Plodded means walked slowly, walked with difficulty, along in the ankle deep dust. And why it was a difficult walk? Because the ground surface was dusty, and so the people were unable to walk properly. They were not able to walk smoothly. The ankle deep dust, and the dust, you see, reaches up to the ankle. But the old man sat there without moving. But the old man was still seated. He was too tired to go any further. He is very, very tired to stand and then carry on along with the other people. So he was taking rest. It was my business to cross the breeze. Now it was my business. Now who do you think is my here? Here my is uh, the narrator of this story, and he is an army personnel. He is a visionary who is watching his um, enemy's movement from the other side of the breeze. So it was my business. So it was my duty. He was an army scout. He was posted there uh, to look at the advance of the enemies from the other side. So it was my business to cross the breeze. So it is his duty to go to the other side of the breeze, walk on the breeze and reach to the other side of the breeze, explore the breeze head, and he would examine, explore means to examine the breeze head, the other corner of the other side of the breeze, beyond, and find out to what point the enemy has advanced, and then locate to what an extent the enemy have uh, advanced or come. And as you would see the enemy's advancement, he would come back and then report to his base that they should get ready, because soon they are going to get attacked by their enemy. So see, I did this and returned over the breeze. So the narrator went up to the breeze end, he surveyed the advancement of the enemies, and then he again returned. There were not so many carts now, and very few people on foot. And by this time, there were not so many carts, because most of the carts have already been pushed uh, uh, by the soldiers who were all on duty there, and many of them have already taken leave. And very few people on foot. Only few people were left who were on foot. They were walking to cross the river. But the old man was still there. But the old man kept seated there. He was still waiting for um, his moment, his time to get up and then walk, crossing the breeze. Where do you come from? I asked him. So the soldier, who is the narrator of the story, he, after surveying the advancement of the enemies on the other end of the breeze, he returned and he located the old man was seated by the roadside. He then questioned him. Dear old man, where do you come from? He asked. From San Carlos, he said and smiled. And the old man said he came from San Carlos. San Carlos is a small village uh, in the northeast of Spain. So he told that he came from San Carlos. But when he said, he gave a smile to the soldier. There was a smile on his face. We know that the old man was tired. He was taking a rest, seated out there, but still there was a smile on his face. That was his native town. So San Carlos was his native town, his birthplace. And so it gave him pleasure to mention it in his mind. And so he was very happy to announce or to say that he came from San Carlos. Everybody's birthplace is very dear to one's heart, because you are born there, you are brought up there. That's why you like the place so much. Be wherever you are in the outside world, but there is, you can say, deep love for your birthplace where you are born and brought up. So such thing happened with the old man. The old man said that he came from San Carlos. San Carlos is a small village in the northeast of Spain. And when he said this, there was a smile on his face. That means how much he loves his birthplace, his native town, you know it. I was taking care of animals, he explained. And then the old man expressed, saying that he was only taking care of animals. And what fault was his? There was nothing. He only took care of animals. Oh, I said, not quite understanding. But the narrator, the army scout, the soldier, he just expressed, saying that, oh, but he was quite confused. What did he mean when the old man said he only took care of animals? Yes, he said. And the old man said, yes, I take care of animals. I stayed, you see, taking care of animals. And so the old man continued telling, I stayed at my village only taking care of animals. I was the last one to leave the town of San Carlos, and in fact, I was the last person to leave the town, my native town, San Carlos, while all others have taken the restart. I was the last one to take leave. So, why was he the last one to take leave? There were reasons. One is that he is an old man, perhaps the oldest among those people, and so he took his own time to uh, take the last leave, or else he was deeply in love with his native town, so he did not actually mean to leave the town and go somewhere. But eventually, he had to take leave from there. So that was the reason why he was the last one to take leave from his native town, San Carlos. He did not look like a shepherd, nor a herdsman. And I looked at his black dusty clothes and his grey dusty face, and his still rimmed spectacles, and said, "What animals were they?" The soldier, the narrator, was quite confused the way the old man said that he only took care of animals. So the narrator looked at him. The old man did not look like a shepherd. He did not even look like a herdsman. And I looked at his dusty cloths. The narrator looked at his soiled cloths, dirty cloths, and his dirty face, and his steel rimmed spectacle. And as we already know, that the old man was wearing the steel framed spectacles. And then the narrator question again asked, "What animals were they?" He asked. So, what animals did he take care of? The narrator asked the old man. "Various animals," he said, and Sugi said, "I had to leave them." And the old man said, "I took care of various animals." Various means many, several. Several animals, various animals, he said. Different types of animals, he said. And Suki said, and he shook his head with the expression showing that he actually did not want to leave those animals. He was uh, loving those animals so much. "I had to leave them." And then he said, "I had to leave them." That means he was forced to leave those animals, right? Though the old man did not want to. I was watching the breeze and the African looking country of the Ebro Delta and wondering how long now it would be before we would see the enemy. Now, see, I was watching, the narrator was talking to the old man, but time to time his eyes were uh, looked across the river, right? Across the breeze. I was watching the breeze because he was posted there um, with a duty to see the advancement of enemies. So his responsibility counts there a lot, because if he fails here to locate the advancement of enemies, there will be a problem to his side. So he is to report uh, as soon as he sees the enemies advancing towards them. That's why he was talking to the old man and also looking at the breeze. And the African looking country of the Ebro Delta. So the river uh, on which the monsoon breeze was made was named, or is named, Ebro, River Ebro, one of the famous rivers that flows in Spain. So there was a delta. According to geography, what is a delta? A delta is a landform created by deposition of sediment, which is carried or brought down by the river. So he was putting an eye to this part to see the advancement of his enemies, and wondering how long it will take for the enemies arriving there or reaching there, and listening all the while for the first noises that will signal that ever mysterious event called contact. And he was also listening to the noise of the movement of the enemies who would appear suddenly out there, right? And this sound would be mysterious for them, because mysterious means strange, because nobody would want to invite war, nobody would want to go for war, right? So it is a sudden happening, right? So he was taking care of two things. He was putting an eye on the advancement of the enemies. At the same time, his ears were also open so that he could hear the sound of the movement of the enemies reaching the other side of the breeze. And the old man still sat there, but the old man did not mind to stand and go. He was still waiting for the time to get up and go. What animals were they? I asked. And seeing uh, uh, the other side of the river was calm and quiet, the narrator continued talking to the old man. He again asked, what animals were they? What varieties of animals you had? Would you tell? He asked. There were three animals altogether, he explained. And the old man said he had three animals altogether. There were two goats. So, what were these animals that the old man took care of? There were two goats. He had two goats and a cat. There was a cat. And then there were four pair of pigeons. And there were four pair of pigeons. Four pair means eight of them. So there were eight pigeons in total. There were four pair of pigeons. He had these animals with him, which he took care of in San Carlos. And you had to leave them, I asked. And the narrator asked, oh, then you had to leave those animals? Two goats, a cat, and four pair of pigeons? He asked. The old man says, yes, because of the artillery. And he told the reason why he had to leave those animals. Because of the artillery. Artillery means large guns, which are the fighting weapons used in the war. So see, he told the reason. Because of the artillery, he was forced, he was bound, he was compelled to leave those loving creatures he had. The captain told me to go because of the artillery. So it was the order of the captain of the army, who ordered the village to vacate, right? That all people should take leave from there, because in any moment there would be the enemy arriving, and then there would be war. That's why the innocent people, the civilians, they are emptied from the town San Carlos, from the village San Carlos. So it was the old man was one of the men around, right? And you have no family? I asked, watching the far end of the bridge where a few last carts were hurrying down the slope of the bank. And the narrator again asks, do you have a family? Do you have your wife, your children? Do you have or not? I asked, watching the far end, but his eyes were still fixed towards the other end of the bridge, because he is a very responsible person who is on the duty. Where a few carts were hurrying down, now a few carts were left, and those carts were also now speedily crossing the breeze and going away down the slope of the bank, because on the other side of the breeze there was a slopey ground. So the soldiers, till the carts reached the breeze, they were to be pushed, they were to be helped, and so they were. No, he said, only the animals I stated. But the old man says, no, I have no family of mine. I am alone, and I had only those animals as my family, he said. The cat, of course, will be all right. And look at the confidence of the old man regarding the cat. He said that the cat, of course, will be all right, because the cat will take to his hill. He will escape from any danger. A cat can look out for itself. A cat can take care of itself. But I cannot think what will become of the others. But I have a doubt what will happen to the others. Others refers to uh, four pair of pigeons and two goats. The old man was so worried about these animals. Regarding cat, he's relaxed. He's confident that the cat will escape from any attack of danger. What politics have you? I asked. Then the narrator asked the old man, what politics do you belong to? Do you belong to any politics? He asked. I am without politics, he said. The old man said, I am without politics. I haven't joined any politics, he said. So I am a free civilian, he said. I am 76 years old. And he told the age. The old man was 76 years old. I have come 12 kilometers now, and I think now I can go no further. And look at the 76-year-old man. He has walked 12 kilometers already, from San Carlos to these two river Ebro, where there was a pontoon breeze. So he told he has already walked 12 kilometers, and now he seems to be given up. He seems to be surrendered. Now he says that he is too tired to get up and walk further. That is not a good place to stop, I said. This is not a good place to stop, I said. But the narrator told the old man, but this is not a good place to stop, because any moment the enemies will reach here to attack us. So you need to clear from here as soon as possible. I told, the narrator told the old man. If you can make it, there are trucks up the road where it forks for Totosa. Then the narrator suggested, he told, if you can walk just a bit to cross river, you'll find some trucks there, you'll find some lorries there, right up the road where it forks for Totosa. And there are two roads. Forks means, okay, there are two ways, two roads, and one road will lead you to Totosa. Totosa is a Spanish city, right? So you can take one of the trucks and head towards Totosa. You'll find your escape. The narrator suggested the old man to do. I'll wait a while, he said. But the old man said, I'll wait for some more time, and then I'll go, and then I'll charge my energy, because I have already walked 12 kilometers, being so old, 76-year-old man. Now I need to regain my energy, so I'm at rest. So I'll take the walk after some time, he said. Where do the trucks go? Then he asked, where do those trucks go? The old man asked the narrator. Towards Barcelona, I told him. And then the narrator said those trucks go to Barcelona. Barcelona is another famous city in Spain. And FC Barcelona, football, very famous football club Barcelona, where Lionel Messi, one of the greatest stars of football, soccer, um, is in the team, right? So towards Barcelona, I told him, right? I know no one in that direction, he said, but thank you very much. But the old man says, I know no person living in Barcelona. So even if I take the truck and go to Barcelona, where will I put up? Where will I stay? Since I know no one out there. So I don't have any person in that direction, he said. But thank you very much. But the old man thanked the narrator. At least the narrator suggested the old man to find his own safety, taking one of the trucks and go to either Tortosa or Barcelona. Thank you again very much, the old man told the narrator. He looked at me very blankly and tiredly, then said, having to share his worry with someone. And then, as a few minutes gone by, the old man looked at the narrator very blankly and tiredly. That means he looked at him expressionless, with no expression on the face, and he was tired also, right? Then said, having to share his worry with someone, and at least the old man found somebody who is listening to him. And then he told further, the cat will be all right. And he said the cat will be safe and fine. I'm sure, so I'm confident that the cat will find his own safety, even if there is war, even if there is bombarding, even then, okay, there is gunshot. There is no need to be unquiet about the cat. So there is nothing to tell about the cat. The cat will find its own safety. But the others, but I'm worried about the other animals, right? Once again, the other animals are 4 pair of pigeons and 2 goats. Now, what do you think about the others? So the old man put a question to the narrator. He asked, what do you think? What is your opinion regarding the other animals? Why, they will probably come through it all right. Then the narrator says, well, like the cat, they will also find their own safety. They will also escape from any like disaster that would approach to them. Here, the narrator told the old man, at least trying to, I can say, solace his worry. You think so? The old man said. So do you think that other animals will also find their own safety? The old man said to the narrator. Why not? The narrator responded. I said, watching the far bank, where now there were no carts, and his eyes were still fixed on the bridge, and this time he saw almost all the carts have gone by, right? But what will they do under the artillery when I was told to leave because of the artillery? But the old man again asked, but what do you think my animals will do? 4 pair of pigeons and 2 goats would do when there would the advancement of the artillery, when there would be the fighting war machines brought in the place, when I as a human is told to clear from the place. He said, did you leave the dove cage unlocked? I asked. Then the narrator asked the old man, did you leave the pigeon's door open? He asked. Then the old man says, yes, I left the pigeon cage door open. Open, he said. Then they will fly. Then the narrator says, then there is no worry. The birds Finding the cage door open, they will fly away, right? So there is no issue on the birds, he said. Yes, certainly they will fly. The old man says, yes, obviously, positively, they, the pigeons will fly, but the others, but again, I am worried about the other animals. Now, which animal is left? Two birds. It is better not to think about the others, he said, right? And the other, he said, the dad said, it is not to, you can say, think about the other animals, right? When there is no one, that's God. So God will provide safety. So be tension free, worried less. Here the narrator told the old man, if you are rested, I would go. I urge, get up and try to walk now. And then the narrator says, old man, dear old man, if you have rested, then let me also go. I urged, I recommended him to move. I just showed him the way to move. Get up and try to walk now. Now please get up and then try to cross the bridge and go away from here, finding your own safety. Thank you, he said, and got to his feet. And then the old man responded with the thanks to the narrator, who spared some time to talk to him. And then he said, and got to his feet. And he stood up to his feet, swayed from side to side, and then he tried to walk. But when he walked, he swayed. Swayed means to move uh, here and there, as if a drunkard walks side to side, and then sat down backwards in the dust. But as he took few steps on the dusty ground, he then, with his backward, he sat down there itself. That means the old man could not walk further. He was too tired to take his walk. He gave up. I was taking care of animals, he said dully. And as he sat down again there, he again said, I was only taking care of animals. What fault I had in leaving my birthplace, in leaving my native town, San Carlos? I was nowhere at fault, he said. Right? He said dully. He said plainly. Dully means plainly. But no longer to me. I was only taking care of animals. But you see, I was only taking care of animals. So what fault lies in me that I was forced to leave my native town and go away from here to somewhere? So this is the effect of war. You see, whenever there is war, the innocent civilians become the victims, right? So they suffer a lot. So it is not only the soldiers who are in the war, they suffer, but those who are not in the armed force, the civilians, they too suffer a lot. This is war, right? There was nothing to do about him. So there, nothing could be done to this man, to this old man. It was Easter Sunday. It was Easter Sunday. Easter Sunday is one of the festivals of the Christians. And the fascists were advancing towards the Ebro. And the fascists are those people who are characterized by dictatorial powers. So during the First World War, this fascism got started in Italy, right? So they were advancing towards the Ebro River. It was a grey overcast day, so it was a cloudy day. The sky was covered with clouds, with a low ceiling, so their planes were not up, and the clouds were thickly gathered up in the sky. That's why the enemy's planes were not able to fly in the sky. That and the fact that cats know how to look after themselves was all the good luck that the old man would ever have. And in fact, the civilians are now like the cat, because if they are able enough, they can rescue themselves from the attack of the war weapons, or else they will die. Now you can see what might have happened to this old man. So the old man gave up walking further, crossing the bridge. So he might have fallen to the victims of the war. So when there is war, such innocent lives are lost, who are not at all connected with the war. They become the victim, and they are killed mercilessly. So this is what is told in the story by the author Ernest Miller Hemingway. So is it right that you go for war and take the lives of those innocent people who haven't any reason in bringing the wars or in causing the wars? So the war not only brings deaths of the soldiers who are fighting in the war, but the innocent people who are not a parcel in uh, part and parcel of the war, they simply end of their lives. Their peace is disturbed because you see they are told to leave their birthplace, their native town in which they are so happily brought up, living their life with the company of animals and taking care of them. They are simply told to leave those and go um, mm, wherever possible and um, live your life. But you see what normally happens when there is war. So the war sees no one. When the bomb is dropped, it is dropped on anyone. It is dropped to any people equally. And the destruction you see. There is damage, there is spoilage, there is destruction, and everything is caused because of war. That's why the author indirectly is wanting us to know that uh, waging war is the futile attempt of the people to bring peace in the country. So the war must be avoided as far as possible. Stay away from causing wars so that there would be love, peace, and happiness uh, flourish in the same place where you live. So this is what is told in the story Old Man at the Bridge. I hope you understood the story. So keep listening uh, for the online classes and give importance to all those important classes that you're getting right now, because these chapters which are being discussed, explained, and told in the online classes, hope they will not be again revised uh, or again re-explained in the class when the school gets reopened, because time lost is lost of everything. Because when the school gets reopened, will be with the limited time, uh, and in the limited time we have to cover the rest of the things uh, in the syllabus we have. That's why be serious to take the online classes whatever you're getting. Hope you understood the chapter. We'll again wait to see what next. Thank you so much.